What do you think he'll be remembered for, Kim?
This is gun cranks.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Let's do take two. Well, our producer tells us that you're going to see take one of this where I pretty much just froze right in front of the camera. So let me just say welcome to the Gun Cranks.
Yep.
I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale and Special Products editor Roy Huntington. And I know we get those letters all the time that they like seeing our, more unpolished moments, and you've only seen a tiny tip of it. Well, guys, today we're going to talk about the New York State Supreme Court case that's going to be pretty important. We're going to talk, Roy's going to start us out on why micro 9s might be a thing or they might not. And then we're going to talk about my journey in reloading. So, guys, let's get started on what will probably be a strange and twisted affair if we're judging by how this thing started. So, okay, turn it on. Let's get started.
Hey guys, there's some big news shaking in the Supreme Court. As most of you probably already know, it's been a long time since the Supreme Court has taken a gun rights related case. It almost seems like they've been avoiding it since Heller and McDonald. Boy, that had to be, 10 years back or so?
Almost.
Anyway.
Yeah.
A brand new one, and this is a biggie, has landed on the Supreme Court's desk. And right before we recorded this, they just finished arguments in this case. So we should see a ruling some months from now. But the basic gist of this case is that the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association is suing the superintendent of police over this whole concept of may issue carry. Prove to us why you really need a carry permit, and we might give you one. So big stuff. So I want to talk about that today because this really hits directly on the whole right to bear arms. Keeping and bearing are different things. So what do you guys think?
Well, I think it's funny. I think a lot of the gun safety, which we all know is anti-gun, I think they're almost resigned to the fact they're going to find in favor of the New York Pistol Association. And New York's law is kind of the basis for a lot of other places that have very restrictive permits. And they're already saying, it's going to open the floodgates, as they usually do. That the blood will run in the street and toddlers and blah, blah. And I think they're preparing, I guess themselves almost. They're resigned to the fact of it's going to go bad for us, and that just makes me so happy. I want to clap like a toddler.
Now, Tom, you're up to speed on this better than I am. Is this just concerning ownership, licensing for ownership, or for concealed carry?
It's really more about carry. About can you have a gun out of the home? Heller and McDonald kind of addressed pretty solidly the whole ownership issue and the keep issue, right? Can you keep a gun in your home under the Second Amendment or under Second Amendment protection? So this one really dives into the what are the restrictions that government can and should be able to impose on carrying. So it's not concealed carry specific. I tend to think of it more broadly because we've just had a myriad rulings across the country, all over the map, on what kind of restrictions are okay. Is it, it's perfectly fine for the government to demand that you prove that you have a good enough reason to carry a handgun, right? Really? Like protecting my life is not a good enough reason. It has to be, I carry over $10,000 in cash. That's a good enough reason, but protecting my life, nah, forget that. Doesn't qualify, right? So
would a win for the good guys here then supersede, for instance, New York City laws, which are onerous even after Heller?
Yeah, and conceivably, and I think as Brent touched on a minute ago, a lot of our onerous republic states have kind of based their laws and policies on New York, right? And they're looking to New York for precedents. And hey, it's reasonable. Look, New York does it. I'm oversimplifying the legal principles, but that's the gist of it.
My understanding is it will affect federal cases, and as you pointed out, one of you guys, that the various district appeals courts are all over the place. The Ninth Circuit out in California, that they're just off the left scale, whereas some of the others aren't. But this will unify all of the guidelines that they will consider Second Amendment cases. Local and state laws, my understanding is that somebody will have to challenge them if legislators don't change them. So it may be a case if you live in Illinois, and I'm sure somebody's lined up to say, the Supreme Court's found that this is unconstitutional. I'm going to sue, the state in federal court to make your state laws fall in line with the federal laws. And I think the interesting thing will be somebody will defend it and lose, and then the rest of them will go, okay, fine, whatever. We're not going to fight it in court. So it's going to change the landscape a whole bunch if they rule in the favor of gun rights.
So they could tell them that it's okay to carry the gun and have the gun in your house, but they could still make it onerous to buy one.
Right.
In other words, if you still have to jump through the silly New York City style hoops in order to buy a gun, where you have to join a club and show proof and, take the safety classes and do all those kind of things, multiple trips to the police department, $400 worth of licensing. So they still could make it difficult just by making the forward half of it hard, right?
Yep.
I think.
And
I mean, yeah, there certainly some states, and we all know who they are going to try and do that regardless of what the Supreme Court says, right? They're going to change it. As a matter of fact, they've already, in the arguments Wednesday, we already started to hear from what appears to be the losing side. Well, maybe, instead of ruling, why don't you just send this back, remand this back to New York courts, and they'll come up with something a little different, and that's thrown in the towel already. So I think at this point they would really like that, but I don't think the Supreme Court's going to do that. The pressure to even take this case is amped up with Gorsuch and, Amy Barrett and these folks. So Roberts finally had to cave and say, okay, guys, we'll take the case,
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It's definitely a conservative court, so I think that bodes well. My belief is that they will probably give us a favorable ruling, but I always put a big caveat out there, and I've been saying this for a long time, not just me, a lot of commentators. I don't think they're going to find the legislative line is being loosened in terms of gun restrictions. What their winning strategy will be, I think, is making it hard to shoot or afford ammo, and they can do that environmentally. If they make it so that it's expensive to even build a product with lead in it, tungsten is not a real good substitute, maybe in certain things, but basically if they make it, as you said, Tom, so difficult to go out and shoot because ammunition's expensive, you got to drive 3 hours to a range, and then it's very controlled. That right there will stop more people from owning a gun than maybe all the laws put together, because we've won this ability to have our guns and all that, but if I can't go shoot it, what's the point? And that's where, as a community, we have to be careful not to let them get their, as they say, the nose under the tent, because that goes along quietly, and our side tends to not worry about it, but that's the one that I think will really get traction going forward.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's an endless stream of chip away strategies, at play. They're lined up for the next 100 years on everything under the sun. But fortunately, market innovation comes into play too. So if we get the biggies resolved, clarity on right to own a gun, clarity on right to keep a gun in your home, clarity on the right to bear arms outside of your home. Those are kind of the three big legs of that stool. And if they go after lead and win, okay, we'll come up with another technology for projectiles, right? It's, the market will solve that. But you're right. They're going to chip away at every possible angle. So
I wonder if
it's not
there'll be
over
a,
with a victory here.
well, I wonder if there'll be a domino effect too. If we have a win here, then Massachusetts, Illinois, California. I wonder if they're going to take the big step there. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yep. Good point. So everybody stay tuned on this one. I heard, and I'm not entirely sure on this, that a ruling could be as late as next summer.
I'd
The
heard the
wheels
same.
of justice turn slowly, so keep on this. Follow the news. Keep in touch on our websites. Put your thoughts and what you hear in the comments. Keep us posted, and we will do the same.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. That was good. Ruger really upped the game on the whole idea of pocket pistols lately when they introduced that LCP Max, and we made a video on it. It's now my favorite carry gun. 13 rounds, 380, modern effective ammunition. I like Black Hills Honey Badger, and boy, it's in your pocket, and it is smaller than the Pocket 9s. And so my question for you esteemed gentlemen is, are the days of the micro 9s numbered? As the technology keeps improving with 380 style ammunition and anything new coming down the pipe in the future, do we still need to try to cram that big 9mm cartridge in an increasingly smaller and harder to manage gun? So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, we're starting with the very obvious caveat that a whole magazine full of 9s and 380s still aren't equal to 145 round, right? I mean, can I just assume that's our starting point?
Brent, can you delete him now, or do we have
Yes,
to do that
yes.
post-production? So,
Hey,
yeah.
can we do the 9 versus 45 shootout, the ultimate man stopper for the next
Gosh,
issue?
nobody ever covers that. Huh? Yeah. So, but I mean, I don't know. I carried a Kimber Solo for years, and then the LCP2 came along, and I went, "Whoa, this is lighter, smaller, more convenient." And now we have this high capacity in your pocket 380 thing. Do we need the Pocket 9s anymore? What's going on there?
Well, I thought Tom was going to give a very technical and well-reasoned explanation for whatever his position is, and we kind of cut him off. I'm taking the cynical view, which is they're the hottest, greatest, latest thing until they aren't. And somewhere down the road, somebody will discover something like the 1911. Did you know this is a good gun? Or,
That's true.
double stack, full-size 9s. The Glock 19, it's the ultimate man stopper. And then everybody jumps on that boat. So everything for over 100 years, it waxes and wanes. It goes in cycles. And right now, the micro 9s, and they are a step forward in technology, but let's be honest, you got 2 or 3 more rounds of 9mm. Ooh, okay. And I'm not putting them down as a category. I've got some, I carry some, but I always go back to the real pragmatic argument of a pistol of any caliber is an underpowered weapon. If you're going to be in a gunfight, you need to take something preferably ending in gauge or 30 caliber.
Oh, like a 45.
Whatever. So, to me, it's folks that discuss the merits of this micro 9 versus this micro 9. It's like you're arguing, dancing on the head of the pin, as they say. They're great. Own them, buy them, shoot them, have fun, believe in them, and then wait till next week when those of us in the gun media come up with the hottest, newest trend. That's my cynical editorial for today.
Well, I like them. I like the micros. And now, Roy, I have to confess, I don't have a micro or a double stack 380 at this point. I've got a couple of those compact double stack 9 type pistols. They're cool. They're handy. They're amazingly small. But I have to confess something here. I like big guns, and I cannot lie. And I don't mean
funny.
caliber. I mean size. So I carry something pretty large every day, and to be serious for a minute, I'm more confident with it. I can hit what I'm aiming at. I know I'm going to hit what I'm aiming at. The little ones are fun, but when push comes to shove,
Tom, I
like
got
the
to
larger
say,
guns.
I've just got this vision in my head of you in a music video. I like big guns, and I
it's
cannot
coming.
lie. You other
It's
brothers can't deny.
Well, what I found though is that I was just baiting the hook really more than anything. Is that I think that the tiny pocket 380s have a niche, and I think the niche is as your secondary gun usually. In other words, what I find I do is the LCP Max is in my right front pocket all the time. Doesn't matter, I'm home, I'm anywhere, it's always there. Because invariably when you go up to the pole barn to feed the chickens is when the rabid raccoon comes out, and you may or may not have your full-size real gun with you at the time because we're lazy, basically. And but if I go to town, well then I strap on my Hellcat, and I think it's not a stopping power issue. It goes with what Tom says, which is it's a manual of arms situation. You can feel it, and you can manage it, and you can handle it, and you can control it more reliably, at least I can, than a teeny tiny pocket gun. And so, it's like trying to skin a deer with a 1-inch bladed pocket knife. You can do it in a pinch, but you risk poking your eye out. Whereas if you have a 4-inch, correct skinning knife, it's so much easier to do. You can see the knife and you can hold it. Yeah. And so I think these guns do the same thing. So I think you need both. I think you need a micro pocket 9 and you need a little tiny, 380, 32, something else that you should always have with you all the time for when you take the trash out.
Yeah.
Brent, what do you think?
We have a very I was just going to say, we have a very different opinion of what's a big gun.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say full-size gun, I'm talking about I like to carry like a Staccato 2011 or a Sig P229 or something in that
Commander
in that font.
size. Yeah, that
and
kind
you're
of stuff.
But you're a big guy too. I mean, you're 6+ something. And, I'm a little 5'9" guy, and sometimes I just admit that I know, every once in a while I'll say, I'm going back to a 5-inch all-steel 1911, and that lasts about an hour,
Well, I got to say.
And I get tired of pulling my pants back up.
My pinky gets lonely. It's got no place to go, and it's just sitting out there crying, wee all the way home. So I generally grab the Commander or something like that out of the safe.
Yeah. Well, Clint was always fond of saying this. I saw him. He used to carry a 4-inch Smith & Wesson Model 29 in a pocket holster. I swear to you. There it is.
Pocket.
Ask him to see it, he'll pull it out and show it to you, right? And he used to always say with a little twinkle in his eye, and he'd say, it's a big gun going in and a big gun coming out. And you can't argue with that. I mean, if something happens, I carried a 6.5-inch Model 29 in a Bianchi shoulder holster when I was a young, stupid cop for quite a while, actually, just because you could. It was fun, right? But I pulled it on a bad guy one day, and I have to admit, it was like, excuse me, sir, and his eyes lit up like that, and that solved the problem. Nobody had to it was all worked out just fine after that. And I don't know it would have had the same ending had I had an NAA 22 mini revolver in my hand, so.
There's our next magazine article, Ultimate Pocket Guns, starting at 6 inches and going above.
There you go.
Well, it's the old comforting, not comfortable, but I don't know, man. When it's 102 and 98% humidity and you're trying to hide your full-size gun like you do, Tom, it's like, I don't know how you guys have the tenacity to do it. I just get tired of the inconvenience of it. So
there you just said it. You
I
just
did.
confessed. It's
Yeah.
not I can't carry a larger gun. It's I'm not willing to carry a larger gun.
Yep.
So.
And then that gets you looking at off-body carry. That's when all those little gun pack things and you start thinking about that till you leave it on the seat of your car or on the counter at the
Never
store.
off-body carry.
No,
Shorts, T-shirt, all day
that's-
long.
Yeah.
I go to a kilt
you're inside the
do
waistband,
inside
huh?
thigh carry, and
Yeah.
it works just fine.
Don't you get a rash though?
Well,
You
if
know,
it's over
like-
102, I do.
and that is another thing though. The inside the waistband carry, I always feel like I've got a brick on the inside of my pants, and I envy people who who can do that comfortably.
We're gonna need to censor some stuff
think
out here, I
so.
think. But
No, what?
Roy's got a brick in his pants.
You guys are just potty brains, is what the problem here is.
We're the gun cranks.
All right, did
Roy.
we resolve anything? Did we resolve anything? Then?
No, but I
So,
think people
are-
should leave us comments. We keep asking for comments.
Yeah.
Tell us what you guys think about the micro nines and the pocket nines. They're undeniably probably the most popular segment of our market right at the moment. So tell us why. Hey, Tom, guess what?
what?
I actually reloaded my 270 and I survived. I had a buddy that knew I was going to the range to test out my own hand-loaded rounds, and he called to make sure that I survived the trip, and I did. If you tie a string and you get clear back behind the building, but nothing blew up. So apparently I'm an official reloader now. But
Hold
I've
on.
got so many questions.
Hold on. I want to make sure I heard this right. So you reloaded and survived, but you actually also took the output of that process to the range and fired it and survived?
Exactly. Is that
see,
edgy or what?
That makes me so
a
happy.
twofer.
I know. That's outstanding.
Did you use a Lee loader?
I did.
Did you use a
I
Lee
did,
loader? Or?
and it worked
Cool.
great. And
Yeah.
I was really happy,
cool.
and I see now the allure of doing that. But of course, it's kind of like heroin. Once you try a little bit, you got to do more. So since I
yeah.
don't do heroin, but I've done a little bit of reloading now, I want to do more. So I've started down that rabbit hole, and like I need another hobby, like a hole in the head. But yeah, I'm already looking
you
at
need this
like
one.
progressive presses and all that stuff.
You need this hobby.
Yeah.
I need therapy.
It's
I
but-
for
think
you.
for me,
No, I'm dead serious.
for me,
because,
it's always been.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say for me, it's not about saving money. It's just fun
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
Yeah.
no, you're right. It's like okay, our producer's going to kill me because I'm moving the camera. So yeah, this is my happy place right there. Got a few. I think I got about 4 presses going these days. A couple single stages, couple progressives. So it's the
Well,
happy place. Rough day at work, editing my buns off, and I get a little stressed, and I come down here and reload for an hour or two. Everything's golden.
Well, I have to make an observation that you brought up when you were talking. I know a lot of guys that reload, and I guess I'm kind of crazy and wacky because I actually went to the range with it, because everybody I know, I reloaded them and they're in my closet or my basement or whatever. I didn't realize you actually were supposed to go to the range and shoot them.
No, they're not art.
Yeah, definitely to be used.
So okay, I'll
Well,
ask
I
a
think-
serious question. I'm sorry I stepped on Roy there, but okay,
all right.
I am a tiny babe in the woods of reloading, and I'm mainly going to do rifle reloading. So
Awesome.
I start with a single stage. Where do I go from here?
You know what? For rifle reloading, I still use a single stage. The only one, there's 2 rounds that I use a progressive for, and that's usually for practice ammo. That's 223 and 308.
Right.
Everything else rifle, because to me, and I think Roy, you might have said this, I don't do it to save money. I guess technically, if you count your time as free, each round costs less. But I do it for fun, especially with rifles. I mean, you can tune a load to your specific rifle so it sings. And that's where the single stage will do you just fine for your entire reloading career. It's precise, it's deliberate, it's you're not doing a high volume of round count. It's very therapeutic, and cures bunions. So you may not have known that.
I reload because I shoot some odd calibers. I shoot a 351 Winchester and shoot a 3220 and 8x56 rimmed, and so really it's the best way to do that. You know, you can, and so it's fun to be able to keep the old guns alive by doing that. There's really not a lot of other options. There's not a lot of commercial ammunition made. For other things like 45-70, 45 Colt, 44 Magnum, I load those just because it's just great fun. And you make these big fat cartridges and then you go shoot them. And Brent, do you have sort of ancillary goodies now? Do you have a digital scale? Do you have a case tumbler or case
Not
vibrator?
yet, but that's coming soon.
Yeah, you're not one of the guys
I
then.
know.
I'm sorry. So, because it's really fun because you dump all your gritty, nasty looking brass cases in the case tumbler, and I just usually there's they sell fancy case tumbler liquids, you know, that you put in to polish, but I just use a cap full or two of like turtle wax, like the normal turtle wax works really good, and they come out and they look like Indiana Jones' golden treasure. It's so
Well,
fun.
actually, go
And you
ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you haven't lived too, because whenever I tumble cases, I always reach in my pocket and throw whatever change I have in with them. Because the money gets so shiny and it's a lot
You
of
don't want
fun.
to spend it.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I was going to say, I do have a case tumbler. I only tried it once. It's a Kenmore brand, and it's back in the back of the house.
You get the jumbo capacity one, right?
It's super jumbo.
I love that sound when you pick it up and you hear it rattle its way all the way up the thing and then up into the impeller goes.
Well, I know that we're probably all the same, that our wives, or, you know, if we do the laundry, there's a little container of some sort in the laundry area for those rounds that show up.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, I just had that happen. Susie came out from the laundry room holding 3 sad-looking 3220 cartridges, and she said, and they're right. It's not like, oh hey, accident. It's like, are these yours? No, they're not
I
mine.
don't know where they would have come
Hey
from.
Roy, we need to find out what he's got so we can talk him into his next purchase. So what kind of gear do you have so far? You got a Lee press.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
And a scale, and
Okay.
I've got a nifty
A
box.
beam scale?
No, it's a digital. Do I need a
Digital?
triple
Okay.
beam?
No. I mean, it's nice as a backup
Okay.
to check your digital, because when the batteries get low, it can get wonky. But
Okay. Well, that's a good question. I'm sure I could go talk to my former coworkers down at the PD, and they got all kinds of triple beams lying around. If you don't know, that's what drug dealers weigh their product with. And,
It's true.
so what else you
And
got?
they're usually
Yeah.
really good ones.
yeah, and I got a bullet puller. That's kind of fun. I couldn't figure
Okay.
out how to operate this stupid thing till I finally
Okay.
did. And-
They're handy.
okay, so I got that
Do you have
going.
calipers? for
Yes,
measuring
got
your
those.
length?
Got digital
Okay.
calipers. Because
Okay.
my friend that was teaching me how to do this was, you know, really critical overall length and all that. And I'm like, what happens if it's wrong? He goes, you don't want it wrong. Just don't let it get wrong.
Yeah. So on that topic, do you have a case trimmer since you're doing rifles?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Good.
Use it.
Yeah.
Make sure you use it. I know people who have it, but they go, no, I've never actually used it, though. Yeah, for rifles, he's right. Overall case length is important. Do you have a loading block
Yes.
that you put, like, when you...
Got that.
Good, that's important,
And
too.
you
He's
get-
getting there pretty
You
much.
got all the good gear here. How do you prime?
I would probably
Are you
just
priming
get...
on the press.
I would get one of the... Yeah, get one of the kits from RCBS or Lee or Hornady or somebody that's got a press and a scale and a powder measure and all that. Just get, and there you are. And then you'll have to get a set of dies
Yeah.
for $270,
Right.
and then you're in business. And what's nice about that, though, is it kind of gives you a backup. So you'll have 2
Yeah.
scales. You know, you might have 2 powder measures, and there's
Well, I
nothing
got to
wrong with that.
admit, with the Lee loader, there's one thing that bothers me, and that is seating the primer.
Yeah. Have you had any go off
No.
yet?
So our producer just gave me a dirty look because in the middle of the show I got up and walked off stage.
Yeah.
But it was for a
Yeah,
good
it's all right.
reason.
Yeah.
And you walked right
Yeah.
into it. This is a must-have piece of gear.
That is a
This
good
is an
thing.
RCBS universal loader. So, you know, a lot of loaders have all these million little shell plates you stick in there. This one's spring-loaded, so it's ready to go for any cartridge, pistol or rifle, right off the bat. This will save you so much time and aggravation for doing the priming step.
Yeah.
Just take it up to your den, Sit there, get 2 buckets, one of cases ready to prime and one for primed, and just chunk, chunk, chunk. You can feel it. You can, you know when something's wrong.
Well, I wish I had set up a video of me. He's like, hit a little harder, hit a little harder. I'm like, hit a little harder, and then I really whacked it. He's like, oh my God, don't hit it that hard. You told me to hit it hard.
Tap, tap, tap works good. Tap, 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 tap. Wait till you have one go off, though, because it's it's pretty fun.
Oh, okay, fun.
Yeah.
I've been to the hospital once
I'm
this
just
year
happy
for
to see
a
you're doing
shooting-related incident.
Yeah.
I don't want a second one.
You know, the other good thing about reloading, though, is if you go to a gun show. I was at a gun show last weekend, and I hadn't been to one in 2 or 3 years, is it gives you something to look for. In your case, you'll look for 270 brass. Or, you know, primers maybe that fit, or you might see a empty 270 box, plastic box by MTM or something. You'll think, oh, they'll go in that. I mean, it gives you something to kind of keep your eyes open for. Oh, hey, that's it. Got any 270 brass?
The big problem is with, reloading supplies have been even scarcer than ammunition.
Yeah.
And of course, I picked the worst time ever in the history of man to start reloading. Yeah. And the funny thing is, when I went to the last gun show I went to, I was so excited. One guy had a whole bunch of powder, and I get to looking, and it's no powder that anybody's ever heard of before. It was, like powder thingy from the mainland China, and it's like, he goes, oh, this is as good as, 5150 or whatever. I'm like, but it's not. And I can't read the writing on the side because it's a language I don't speak. Oh, it's fine. No, it's not fine.
You'll learn, though. Well, keep us posted on your future, but round up a kit. I think you can get hooked up with somebody we know in the industry and get you a basic kit, and then you'll have to build a loading bench.
And get involved, and I know.
Your charming wife will probably like to do it. I've never met a woman who doesn't like to reload. Once you show them how to do it, they go, this is fun. Well, think about it. They're making shiny
I'll tell
things.
What I want is down in the comments, I want to hear what other people's experience starting out, because I feel, less of a man because everybody in our industry has been reloading for years, and I just started. So if you just started reloading, or you remember some of the mistakes you made when you just started reloading, tell us down in the comments section. That should be pretty entertaining. Well, guys, we had another great edition of the Gun Cranks, and so far, this is one take, which is not how we started this episode, so I think it smoothed out after that. But I'm really glad everybody watched us, and I must remind you, please hit the subscribe button down at the bottom, and of course, we'd love to hear your comments. And as I always say, make sure that you do make fun of Tom McHale, because he enjoys that. He really finds pleasure in that. But anyway, while you're online, don't forget to check out gunsmagazine.com, americanhandgunner.com, and Tom is in charge of our special publications. Tom, how can we find out about that?
Cool stuff. One's on the shelves right now. It's our Old West edition, annual edition. Lots of very cool stories, and right around the corner is our Concealed Carry and Self-Defense edition. Look for them in stores everywhere, or go to either of our websites, and you'll find a link to it there. Excellent.
And I almost forgot AmericanCop.com. It's not just for our friends in law enforcement. It's anybody that supports what they do. So check that out. Well, it's been a great episode, gentlemen, and I think it's time we all get out to the shooting range, and then another couple weeks we'll do some more gun cranks. So until then, we will see you later.